My immigrant mother just called me on the phone, innocently asking me if she should start carrying her passport in case they start doing mass deportations to prove that she's a citizen.
I'm wondering, when are white people going to start listening to the black community? When are we going to admit that they were right about Trump? They were right during the civil rights era. They were right about abolition. And now we know, now we can see they've been right about Trump all along. They got our attention during the George Floyd protests, but we didn't listen. We were just like fair weather fans. But if we could ever get behind this community, if we could ever draw from their wisdom and their knowledge of what America really is at the cellular level, because they've seen this all along, and there is so much we could learn if we would just humble ourselves and move out of the spotlight just for a moment and let them speak.
Has been ignoring the warnings of black people for so long. They mocked the truth, but right now the panic is undeniable across the world. Either be African leaders, they are panicking because now African youths are rising. White America is panicking because black people are now, they are seeing what black people have been saying for a long time. Grand Rising Kings and Queens, welcome back to my YouTube commentary. I love you all and I appreciate you all deeply. And thank you for being here today. And for that, I decided to put my captions on Swahili. I have Swahili caption and English caption. Now, today, we are diving into reality that is unfolding recently, right before our own eyes. It's a reality that black people across generations, across continents, and across the diaspora have been warning about for decades. Okay? A reality that white America, white Europe, and white institutions confidently dismissed the diaspora have been warning about for decades. Okay? They dismissed as paranoia, they dismissed as anger or victim mentality. But right now, the very system that refused to listen, it is shaking. Okay? The very same people who believed that they were untouchable, they are panicking. And the truth is simple. Black voices predicted this. Not just predicting, but studied it, analyzed it, shouted it, protested on it, wrote about it, sang about it, and warned the world about it. Now, before I continue, I want you to watch these clips here, and then I'm going to come with more commentary.
Trump has cut my food stamps from $2,800 down to $350. Now, what am I supposed to do? So I literally just got this piece of mail today saying that due to new policy changes from the Trump administration, all this shit, whatever, all these cuts and whatever he's doing over there, now they're telling me I have to go work. Now I have to go do all this. Well, I literally got 5 kids. I'm trying to sit here and spend time with them. I'm not trying to go work, 50, 60 hours a week so I can pay bills. I just really don't understand. I voted for him this last election because I thought what he had good was going on, but now all of a sudden all this policy stuff's coming out and now he's making all these cuts and now he doesn't want to help the less fortunate people no more. If he gets voted in again, I'm leaving this country.
All right, I'm going to choose to believe that this is satire, but there's people out there that think like this. That the government food coupons aren't stretching far enough anymore, that the taxpayer-funded buffet isn't offering second helpings of the Doritos, Hot Pockets, and Mountain Dew this month. Listen, this. Food stamps were never meant to be a lifestyle. They're designed to help people get through, not settle in. And if your biggest complaint is that Uncle Sam isn't sending you enough money, then you need to get your pride, priorities, and productivity straight and get a freaking job. Really? These people are out there. Nobody's that dumb, though, right? Nobody's really that dumb.
My immigrant mother just called me on the phone, innocently asking me if she should start carrying her passport in case they start doing mass deportations to prove that she's a citizen.
She deleted the video. Don't worry, I've got it. I'm going to show it to you. Singer, actress Selena Gomez, who's from Texas, who's an American, showed up on, I don't know even what platform it was, crying because of what's happening to her people and how sorry she is about it. Again, Selena Gomez, who's from Texas, who's an American, was crying about her people and like she couldn't keep herself together. She says the children at one point. Instead of me just telling you what she says, let me show it to you. Make sure you're following.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand.
What?
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
I mean, shocking, right? I don't know what she's talking about. The only thing ICE has done in the last 5 or 6 days since the new administration took over is go after bad guys, criminals, gang members, people who are doing horrible things and who had deportation papers already or have committed so many crimes that we were trying to get them out of the country. They're being deported. Has nothing to do with deporting children or her people. Again, she's from Texas. She's an American. Having said all of that, let's really break this down. This is somebody my kids were fans of, watching her on Barney back in the day. Very talented young lady. But somebody got into her mind and made her believe that somebody is attacking people by ethnicity or something. And it's not happening. I'm going to pray for her. Now, keep in mind, she took this video down probably out of embarrassment, or maybe her management said, take it down. But we still have it, and I wanted you to see it. Make sure you share it. Make sure you comment. Make sure you...
The new American dream is to leave. And I'm not just talking about living abroad and earning American dollars and taking advantage of the exchange rates. I'm just talking about living a life of dignity at this point. I mean, where else in the world is anyone paying this much for healthcare? Where else in the world is anyone eating wheat that they can't digest and it's wrecking their gut? Where else in the world do you live to work, not just work to live? Look, moving abroad isn't for everybody. I'm not forcing my ideas on anybody. But if you're someone like me who thinks that, you know what, I'd like to try living somewhere else, well, then yeah. Then you might like my content. And look, a lot of people in my comments come at me and they're like, well, just leave, or why do you hate America? I've never once bashed America, okay? I just ask questions and I say, hey, I've been somewhere else in the world where they do it this way. That might be a little bit better than the way we do it here. And if asking questions is wrong, well, I guess I am living in the wrong country. Nowhere is a utopia. And life can be a struggle everywhere. But it's at least worth trying and giving it a shot than just staying in the same place your entire life and never knowing.
So white people have no idea what's actually going on in El Salvador, but all they hear is low crime and cheap cost of living and are saying dumb stuff like this. Listen.
Is the new American dream in El Salvador and Latin America? Many people believe this, so as people have been migrating to El Salvador and the rest of Latin America to live better lives, not only is the cost of living cheaper, but countries like El Salvador have adopted Bitcoin, freedom of speech, and have gotten rid of internet censorship. And if you look at America, you know, the freedom of speech is gone. Everyone knows this. Social media, you know, they manipulate the algorithms or they outright ban you as soon as it's something controversial. Also, the cost of living is going up every single day.
Seriously, this guy's all getting like, hey, El Salvador is a new country that we can go gentrify. Not even caring that the president of El Salvador is an autocrat who is seizing control of the top courts and has called for a state of emergency where he has suspended constitutional rights, making it easier to put people in prison. And in the short time he's been in office, he's put 2% of the adult population behind bars. And even the people of El Salvador are saying that this might not be a permanent solution, that the current government has no plan for structural changes, and that the fertile soil that allowed gangs to spawn and take root in the underprivileged barrios of most of El Salvador are still there. Again, these white people don't give a fuck about what's actually happening in Latin America. They're just looking in Latin America to see which country is the safest for them and where they can get the most bang for their buck. Oh, and by the way, on top of cheaper cost of living, one of the biggest reasons white people are looking for somewhere to move that's in Latin America, it's because it's within the same time zone of their online job. Yeah, they're gentrifying our countries, raising prices, and pushing out the locals because they want to live in a place where they don't have to wake up too early for work. These 2023 colonizers, I swear.
I don't know who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't, and that's me. I have 4 kids, and I'm working 3 jobs, and I'm still struggling. I have my full-time job. I'm a 911 dispatcher. My other 2 jobs, a waitress. The American dream should not be this hard. I should not have to be working my life away, being away from my kids. You know, sometimes I have to pick. Am I going to pay my electric bill or am I going to buy groceries? Because my kids need to eat. This is not the American dream. I'm so tired of struggling. You know, so many people are going to work, working multiple jobs just to pay for a house to sleep in, just to put their head down at night. This is not the American dream, not my American dream. That's why I started posting here on TikTok. So hopefully I can slow down some so I can spend time with my kids. Life shouldn't be this hard. I know one person that's making 6 figures and they're still struggling.
And what's really happening here is Trump introduced a work requirement saying that before you can receive health coverage free of charge from the government, you have to work at least 80 hours per month.
Well, I could sit here and explain to you that there are states that already have work requirements. There are some states that had work requirements and got rid of them because it was actually more expensive to have those requirements than if they had just paid the Medicaid outright. How people with disabilities will be disproportionately affected by this bill because they rely so heavily on Medicaid to cover the cost of their care, of their disabilities. How disabled people are allowed to be paid what's known as a sub-minimum wage, which means they legally can be paid below the minimum wage. I think it's as little as like 50 cents an hour. Or how that conversation ties into the larger conversation of raising the minimum wage. Because people with disabilities rely so heavily on assistance, things like Medicaid, if they make too much money, they get kicked off of it and literally die. I actually don't want to talk about any of that because I want to talk about the larger issue, which is universal health care. Because if you actually cared about people, if you really were concerned about paying down the debt and how much this costs, like you said, if you want people to be able to work like you claimed, which by the way completely lives out disabled folks and conversations around that, but that's a conversation for another video, you would be advocating for universal health care. Because you would not be getting off into the weeds, discussing the details, trying to justify these Medicaid cuts if you actually cared about the things that you claim you care about in that video. You would not only be saying that these cuts are detrimental, but the current system isn't working. What we need is universal health care. The United States is the only industrialized country without universal health care. And we actually spend more per person on our health care than the other countries that have universal health care do. You would be advocating for universal health care. Like, I genuinely cannot keep doing this with y'all. Like, I am so sick and tired of having these arguments, these conversations and discussions be around stupid little things like whether or not we should have work requirements and whether or not they work. They don't, by the way. The conversation is universal health care. If you actually cared, it would be universal health care. That's what you would be advocating for. That's what you'd be pushing for. That's what you would be talking about. Oh my God. It drives me absolutely insane. Do you know how many billions of dollars the United States would save every year if we had universal health care? Do you know how many tens of thousands of lives we would save every year? You know, I see in one of your other videos, you were like, you guys just hate capitalists. You just hate billionaires. Do you know that the billionaire Koch brothers who own the multi-billion-dollar Koch Industries did their own study on universal health care and found that it would also save billions of dollars every year? Like, oh my God, I am so sick of this. Just the bullshit. It's such bullshit, man. You have 200 and some odd thousand followers and you're just grifting off of things that will literally cost people their lives. Trying to pretend like you actually give a shit, and you don't. You so fucking don't. If you did, you would be like, this current system isn't working. This is going to make it 10 times worse. We need universal health care. Like, y'all, we deserve to have health care. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you make. You should be able to have and access health care. We live in the richest country on the fucking planet. And you're seriously going to sit here and tell me we somehow cannot afford it? We cannot somehow afford to make sure that, like, people have the medications that they need, the healthcare that they need, access to, like, resources and things that it's fucking laughable. It's literally, oh my God. I'll be honest with y'all, this is the easy part. The stuff I talked about in this video, advocating for universal healthcare, that's the easy part. If we really wanted to get into why it is we don't have universal healthcare, we'd have to talk about white supremacy. Oh, now we're getting into it. Now we're making folks uncomfortable. Like, we'd also have to talk about just because we would have universal healthcare doesn't mean that medical racism goes anywhere. Yikes! Like, now we're really having the conversation, really getting to the root of the problem here. Like, this is the easy stuff. I'm so tired of begging y'all to see the humanity in your fellow Americans, in your fellow human beings. I am so tired of it. If you actually gave a shit at all, you would be advocating for universal health care.
I'm really disappointed in the vote on this new budget bill that's going to surely cut Medicaid. My sister has a disability. She has Down syndrome, and she has a ton of health issues. She also has 3 insurances, but that isn't going to stop her from being harmed, along with a bunch of other people. That my sister is eligible for Social Security disability insurance, and Medicare covers only 80% of charges. If my sister goes to the doctor, then her secondary insurance has to kick in. Her secondary insurance is through the Department of Defense, and it's called TRICARE. TRICARE doesn't cover a lot of what Medicare doesn't cover, and that's when Medicaid kicks in. So for the sheer number of doctor appointments and medications that my sister has, if she didn't have Medicaid to pick up where TRICARE doesn't pay, then we would be fucked, because her medicines cost a ton of money. She has Medicare Part D, which covers her medications. The key here is Medicaid. Medicaid pays for her eyeglass exams. It pays for her glasses. It pays for her specialty dental care. She goes to a clinic for people with disabilities at the University of Washington. It pays for her to have access to an adult day center. It pays for her to have a caregiver, and that's me. And it pays for her to have community access outside of the day centers, and she can do things to be out and about in the community. And this is what's called quality of life, and is in need of certain supplies. So Medicaid pays for those supplies. I just send an email to her case manager and I say, hey, Rebecca's out of X supplies. Can you send some? And it's really important for people to know this, because without Medicaid, a lot of people are going to suffer. And when I say a lot of people, I mean anybody who has a disability who has Medicaid. So it's really, really important for you to understand how important Medicaid is. It isn't just for medical care, it's for so many other things. And I urge you, please, even if you're in a Democratic district and has pledged to save Medicaid, continue calling, sending postcards, do like a work party, do something. Because it's really important to put pressure and keep pressure on these. The thing is that not everybody with a disability can advocate for themselves, and they need the rest of us to do that for them. Please don't forget people with disabilities. And also, don't forget this, that no matter your income, no matter your background, no matter your gender, no matter what, disability is the only identity that anybody can have at any time in their lives. And what that means is that you can become disabled at any time. But I'm here, I'm witness to it every single day.
It is known, black communities have always had a sharp political awareness. Okay? Whatever black people say, it always comes to pass. Whatever black people do not fear, it is not a threat. Okay? Black people have always have a sharp social instinct and a historical memory. Okay? While the world pretended everything was fine, black people were looking deeper. Because black communities have always lived inside the cracks of the system. They have lived inside apartheid. They have lived inside mass incarceration, police brutality, inequalities, colonization. Okay? So you can't hide or you can't hide dysfunctions from the people suffering under it or who suffered under it. You can't deny injustice to the people who see it every day. Black people have seen patterns long before institutions recognized them. They saw economic instability, what is happening in America right now. They saw the rising of extremism. They saw the rising of corruption, leadership, racial tension, inequalities, social decay, global power shift, cultural shift. Black people, they saw this pattern because they have lived on this movie for a very long time. So when white America said everything is stable, black people said dominance is ending, and black people are preparing. And the reason why right now in America a lot of things is happening but black people are cool, it's because black people has already prepared psychologically. It's not maybe they prepared monetary or financially, but they are prepared psychologically to handle anything. Okay? Everything black communities wonder about, it is right now, it is unfolding in the world right now. And white America is shocked because the panic era has begun. White Europe is confused. White people, white political powers, they are trembling. Okay? Because the world is shifting, and this shift did not come quietly. Okay? There's a shift in education, there's a shift in culture, in politics, in technology, in entertainment, and global influence. Okay? Black energy is rising like never before. Again, we're going to talk about black excellence. It's not hiding anymore right now. Black people are excelling like never before. Black truth is not whispering anymore. It is openly. It is being shouted. Black unity isn't fragment anymore. And when black people unite, the world feels it. The people or the panic is not because black people are aggressive. The panic is because black people are awakening. Okay? And white institutions never planned for that. They planned for black division. Institution planned for black silence. They planned for black confusion and black dependency. And that's why they come up with loans and everything. White panic, on the other side, did not start because black people changed. No. White panic started because the world stopped listening to white narratives. Because it is lies and people have woken up. Okay? And when I say black people tried to warn them, we talk about the black scholars. Black scholars warned. Activists warned. Black comedians warned them. Black pastors, black elders, black youths, black revolutionaries, black thinkers warned them. Okay? For decades. But each time black people tried to explain what was coming, the response was the same. That stop exaggerating. You are being dramatic. America is the greatest country. Racism is over. There is no danger. You know, they try to dismiss this every day. But black people try to warn about economic collapse. Black people tried. I've gone through videos of black revolutionaries, comedians, pastors, professors. They tried to warn about a number of things. They warned about political corruption. They warned about African nation rising economically. They warned about declining of white fertility rate. They warned about falling institutions. Okay? But they did not listen. They did not listen. They did not listen because they dismissed it as a noise. And right now, the very people who dismissed it, they are asking questions. They are asking, how did this happen fast? They are asking to get the truthful answer. You know, they just ignored the warnings. But right now, it is, black people ain't getting that hit so hard because of what? Because black people knows how to deal with such situation. When there is, when someone is surveilling you, when someone is watching you, wherever you go, black people knows how to deal with that. Okay? Now, white Americans, or white Americas, it is in shock. Okay? Black Americans are not in shock, if you have noticed that. Many things are happening. Trump has come, has done many things. The economy is bad, food stamps, this and that. Black people ain't panicking. And that's why when Black American doesn't panic, there's a lot of questions from the world. Why are they not panicking? They are forgetting that they were warned before. They are forgetting that black people knew the storm and lived through the storm. They are forgetting that black communities don't collapse when things get hard, but they adapt. Black adaptability it is so strong. Okay? Now, white panic comes from a fear of losing control. White panic comes from the fear of losing dominance. White panic comes from the fear of equality, okay, being interpreted as a threat. Because they think equality is a threat. Equality is not a threat. And that's why they removed DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusivity. It was like a threat. How can we be equal to? Okay? White panic comes from the fear that the world no longer, or we no longer prioritize them, worship them, see them as the kings. And the truth is, the world is not prioritizing them anymore. The world has seen the lies and everything. Right now, black culture is global. Black movement is global. Black power is global. And this is the first time in history that black influence is not just local. It is worldwide. Global black awareness or global black influence. It is just global, let me call that. Okay? And when a system is built on inequality, eventually the inequality becomes impossible to hide. History repeats itself anywhere. Empires collapse, powers are shifting, truth is surfacing, voices are rising. And when black voice rises, the world wakes up. Okay? Right now, the world is going through a transformation. It is a spiritual, divine rebalancing. And the transformation is not the destruction of society. It is the destruction of the lie. The lie that power belongs to one group. The lie that domination is natural. Okay? The lie that black people should stay quiet. The lie that black people are powerless. So those lies are collapsing. And now, white America, white Europe, and the people who build systems of oppression are staring at the ruins of their own arrogance. Okay? Now, black awareness is not a trend. It is not just a moment, okay? Or just a hashtag or a phase. It is a global awakening. Young black people are not brainwashed by old colonial narrative anymore. Okay? Black people are educated differently. Right now, we are spiritual aligned. We are tech gurus. Let me call that. We have connected to the diaspora and beyond borders. Okay? So right now, black youths are seeing the truth behind global games. Okay? Black youths are not afraid. And black youths are not apologizing. The system is scared because of that. The system is scared. The boldness of black people, the boldness of black youth, it scares institutions that were built on a foundation of silence, that were built on a foundation of fear. It scares those who believe that they could maintain power forever. Okay? Now, because what we are witnessing right now isn't random, that's why people are like, okay. Because this is the harvest of seeds planted decades ago. Seeds ignored by people who thought that their dominance will last forever. Okay? And when comfort turns into blindness, it makes people arrogant. Comfort can make people assume nothing will change, and comfort can make people ignore the voices warning them for danger. And that's why even poor white people have always been voting against themselves. Because what? Because of the comfort of being white. So they became arrogant. They assume. They ignore voices. And white America lived inside the bubble of comfort. White institutions lived inside a system designed to protect them. Okay? The black people, on the other hand, lived in reality. Okay? Not the fantasy, not the illusion, not the sanitized version of history. The reality of inequality, the reality of injustice, the reality of economic circle, the reality of political manipulation, the reality of global power transitions. Okay? Now, the reason why black people are not shocked when things are changing is because black people understand the pattern. So that is to answer all those who are asking questions. Why black people are not panicking? We have understood, or black people, black Americans, black what, they have understood the patterns. Okay? Black people study history differently. They study history not from the propaganda or the glorified narrative, but we study history through lived experience. Now, when we talk about Black Americans, to be precise, they see how empires collapse, how economics fall, how culture shifts, how society decline, and how oppressed eventually become the teachers. That's why what is happening today does not surprise Black people, okay? Because Black people knew that the system was unsustainable, the economy bubble will burst, the political system was unstable, the racism was not healed, only hidden. They knew all this. They knew that the world will eventually reject Western dominance. Okay? So they call it panic, but Black people call it prophecy. Okay? White people are panicking because the system no longer works for them alone. That's number one. Right now, the system is not longer working for them alone. That's the biggest shock of white America and Europe. The system is not prioritizing them anymore, because for centuries, the world revolved on the Western interest, like their media, their military, their cooperative, their culture, their narrative, their currency. But the world is shifting. Africa is rising, Asia is rising, the Middle East is rising, and Black people everywhere are gaining a lot of influence. Not from begging, not from complaining. And that's why I tell you every day, you have influence as a Black person. You are strong. Do not fear. Blackness is no longer something to suppress. Blackness, it's a global power creator. Or a global power center. Okay? White panic is the realization that they cannot stop this shift. They are realizing that they cannot stop what is happening with propaganda, with the politics, with the intimidation, or anything else. The world is done with the era of all the systems. Okay? Now, because when I talk about culture, I talk about power. Because culture is power. And Black influence in culture is unstoppable. So the entire world dances to Black rhythm right now. Entire world copies Black fashion. They imitate Black slang. Entire world watches Black creators right now. So Black culture is not just entertainment. It is a global force. Okay? And white panic grows because they see the future, a future where Black creativity leads, a future where Black narrative dominate, a future where Black beauty is celebrated, a future where Black truth shape discourse. Now, and white institutions, on the other hand, they fear losing control of culture, because culture controls economics, culture controls identity, culture controls value, social direction, and etc., etc. So if you control culture, you are truly shaping the world. That is the reality. If you control culture, you are shaping the world. And Black culture today, it is the world's culture. So Black people are shaping the world. Now, here is what scares them the most. Black unity. I've been talking about Black unity for decades, even if I wasn't there. The colonizers for centuries worked overtime to divide Black people. Put Africans against African Americans, against Caribbeans, against continent, against diaspora. East Africa against West Africa. A country in Africa against the country and another country. South Africa against the rest of the Africa. But today, that division is breaking. That illusion is fading. The manipulation is collapsing. Okay? Now, Black people are talking to each other more than ever. Black people right now are learning from each other more than ever. Are empowering each other. Because when you see the technology, it closed the gap. Social media closed the borders, platforms connected the diaspora. We are connecting to each other. Here on this YouTube channel, we are connecting to each other. A unified Black consciousness. And Black unity is not just about sameness. We are all black. No, it's about connection, about purpose, shared destiny, and about collective empowerment. Okay. And when black people unite across borders, when black people unite across culture, across languages, across religions, the system cannot stop it. So black unity is our biggest threat to the system. And that's why I'm saying we have the fall of colonial psychology. The greatest collapse we are witnessing is not politically, it is the psychological. The colonial mindset is dying. Now Africans are not like, we need to go to America so that we can make it. We need to be white. We need this. No, it is changing. The mindset say that they are superior, they are more civilized, white are natural leaders, they deserve power, but that one is falling. Right now, the narrative is crumbling because black excellence is visible, because African spirituality is respected again, because black intelligence or black intellect is celebrated again. So things are changing. The colonial psychology depended on the erasure of black narratives and black greatness. But right now, it's not like that anymore. Africans have waken up. Black youths, black Gen Zs have waken up. Okay? So when I say black people want them, it's because they could see what they couldn't see. And why do black people can see what they cannot see? It's because black people are divine. Black people are God's chosen. Black people didn't want the world to brag. No. They won the world because they could see what others cannot see. Black people won because they saw the fault lines, the cracks on the foundation. They saw the hypocrisy. They saw the false narrative. So black people won because they understand. Black people understand. Or let me use we. We understand. We understand that truth eventually rises. Okay? And the reason why white people did not listen and they are regretting is because it is a painful truth. Because for centuries, white supremacy created an illusion that if it doesn't come from white voices, it can't be true. So even when black thinkers and scholars, elders, activists, and communities explained what was coming, they dismissed it. So white arrogance made them blind and reality. But right now, the very people they ignored are the ones whose words become reality. What is happening? It is the truth coming out. You know, we see it in politics, we see it in economics, and I'm telling you as a black person, you are a rare gem. You are a rare gem. Okay? Let's continue uniting. Let's continue connecting. Let's continue reading our history and understanding our own history. As I say, let's meet to another episode. Until next time, peace out.